If you couldn't hear us, that is your fault.
Yeah, that's because stuff. We're having some technical glitches, trying to get the video section of the podcast going on Squeaky Door Productions on YouTube. Go check us out. If you're listening here on Spreaker, we appreciate you. You the shit. So keep on keeping on. And yeah, we are streaming live, coming at you live from the Smoke Shed.
Streaming like a demon.
Yeah. So you can hear yourself, right? Oh no, we don't have the headphones.
I can.
Yeah.
I can hear myself.
Coming through the speakers. So all right, we got it going. I believe we are running on all friggin' platforms right now. iHeartRadio, freaking Spotify, everything. So if you are listening or watching, we do appreciate you for tuning in and seeing what is going on. Oh, why does it say the stream is finished? I am so confused.
Uh-oh. Is audio still going?
At least with the podcast, yeah. I don't know why the YouTube thing is having issues, but YouTube is having issues.
Well, maybe it's a audio type of day.
Yeah, it might just be. It may just be.
Got some new stickers over here.
Oh yeah, I made some stickers. Take one.
Sick.
So let's see here.
Yeah, that's pretty badass.
Let's reset that. And how are you doing today, man?
Doing all right. It's excuse the mic movement there. It's a day in the life of a man who's got some time off. Some much needed time off. So slept in. I really don't sleep in, at least while I'm working throughout the year. But now that I'm off, I've kind of kicked back into the stay up really late and then wake up around 9 or 10 mode. And I mean, I guess if you think about it, I'm still only getting 5 or 6 hours of sleep, but like I'm waking up early relative to when I went to bed, you know?
Yeah.
But still, I prefer waking up early just because it feels like you have so much more time in the day. Not a big fan of sleeping in. I just feel like I don't know, I feel bad. I feel like I'm wasting my time, especially when I get a limited amount of time off. So to be able to be up and at 'em, doing shit. Anyway, it's the Smoke Shack, and I'm a little stoned, so
Well, I mean,
that's how my day's going.
it makes sense though. Like you work and you go and travel and do all kinds of shit. So having time off for you is probably like fucking the land of milk and honey for a bit. And then you're like, what do I do with all this time? Spend a bunch of it. The first bit, you're like, yeah, I'm gonna fucking just play all the video games, fucking smoke and drink, do everything I want to do. And then, then all of a sudden, that shit gets boring. You're like, fuck, I gotta find stuff to do now.
I feel like I have no shortage of things that I feel like I need to do. It's just the motivation to go do those things. Especially on days after like working for a long stretch or being gone for that matter, out on the road. You come back and like you have like a week off, but it's like, man, I haven't been home for a month and a half. I got like 5 days to see a bunch of people and go reply to all the mail in the mailbox and like, you know what I'm saying? So you end up with, right, you got to take care of life for a few days because you've been gone from your life for a month and a half. So then you get a couple days to chill and whatever. And it's nice though, especially being someone, I feel like I'm someone that I always kind of got like an idea going or I'm trying to work on something. So never any shortage of things to do. It's just sometimes I find a shortage of motivation.
The motivation is probably my biggest hurdle.
Weed helps though.
Everything. Yeah, weed definitely helps.
Couple tokes will, at least for me, that like I instantly kind of zip back into like, ooh, what can I work on? You know, I like being productive.
I feel like I got so many irons in the fire though that it's hard to figure out
Yeah, I feel you.
That's been an issue.
But something I've found, because I would feel bad about like not accomplishing anything on paper, if I like spent a whole day or whatever. But I think that making any amount of progress is better than nothing, So even if you're working on something that might not be as like you're not as productive as you could be, you're still doing something, And I feel like that's the goal if you're trying to eventually get something done, chipping away.
Yeah, well, I mean, and chipping away is pretty much all you can do. Is just chip. Like I'm trying to chip away slowly at this little thing here, and it just wants to be a bitch. As you see, like this just went grayed out on me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why. Let's see if we're actually straight. The cage itself is just froze up. Oh no. Shit don't make no sense to me.
Streaming is it's a crazy thing.
Friggin' art, man. I did like a little stream thing last night, but it was way easy. Right now we're running through like 3 different programs in total, and so it makes it a little bit more weird. I don't know why. It makes it so damn difficult.
So tricky.
Yeah. All the things I need to get to the thing that I need seem to be all grayed out. I don't know if that's because it says that I'm streaming, but I'm not, so we'll stop the stream there. Let's see what we got going here. Let's try this again. Let's go into settings. Now, people, this is one thing you find out about me is I am a psychopath, and I don't like when technology thinks it can defeat me in any way, shape, or form.
You know what I don't get? I get how technology works, like how electronics work and stuff. What I don't understand is how they don't work. Like, it's all programmed to do a certain thing. It's wired, like, on a mechanical level. Electricity travels through these circuit boards to very specific places and does very specific things. So I understand why and how it works. You know what I'm saying? It's like, why doesn't it work? What changed?
Yeah, what is stopping it from doing the one thing that it's supposed to do?
Mm-hmm.
You know what? I think I figured it's probably just one simple fucking problem. And that's probably it. It's probably this one problem. And you know what? I'm going to be really, really mad at myself. But you people on Spreaker got to hear this live. You get to hear this dumb shit live. Exactly how we're going. Alright, so welcome for all the YouTube people.
Yeah. Got a little behind the scenes action for a little bit.
Yeah.
Is there some... am I hearing us out of the monitor?
You are hearing us out of the monitor.
That's a little trippy.
Cranked up right now. There. Just so I can make sure that everything is coming through because we don't have the headphones on right now. What's real trippy is how I'm seeing myself 3 times move.
Yeah. And one of them, they're like various degrees of delayed.
Yeah. How do you stream people get used to this shit? It's crazy.
Man, that's like a sci-fi, like, action movie. Dodging things in the future. Hey, have you seen Tenet? Have you seen that movie, Tenet?
I was gonna watch it. I have not seen it yet. I was going to rent it the other night, and then I ordered Uber Eats instead. Because I've been on kind of a budget. I was like, because it's only for buy right now.
Yeah.
It's not even rent. They're like, you got to buy it on YouTube video or even on Amazon video. You can't rent it, so I'm gonna wait for it to come out for rent.
There you go.
Because I don't know if I want to buy it. Because I watched the preview thing, and it's like a different version of Inception.
So I did buy it, and I've watched it, and it's...
Is it what I think it is from what I saw in the preview?
No.
Or is it completely
No.
different?
No, I watched some previews. It's one of those movies, and credit to it, because I feel like one of the problems with movies nowadays is like the preview gives away so much. Like with comedies and stuff, the preview gives away like some of the biggest jokes in the movie and stuff. And one of the best parts about comedy is like the surprise element and the timing element of like hitting you with a punchline. And when you're always like anticipating something because you've seen it in a preview, and you know you can kind of piece together where a joke is going or something, it's just like. Anyway, the point is, the previews for this movie, like I think a good preview should, are somewhat misleading to the point where like you almost go into the movie thinking it's one thing and then it's not that at all. And it's also, I think, and I won't give any spoilers, but it's the kind of movie that you realize very quickly, like, okay, I don't know what this was from the previews. I'm in for the ride. Here we go, and then you just enjoy it from there. So it's cool. Another movie like that, I think, is The Lighthouse. Also, another Robert Pattinson movie.
Is it the same is Robert Pattinson the one that did Tenet?
He's in Tenet, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. So
he's one of the main characters. He's not the main character, but he's one of the main characters. Yeah, and I really like it. I think he's a really good actor. That guy is the main character. Okay. Yeah, he's the main character. In fact, his name in the movie is the protagonist, which is a little on the nose, but it's cool. Like, if you watch it,
They're like time cops. It's like Jet Li-ish.
There's some time shit going on.
Inception and Time Cops all blashed into one, from what I could see from the preview. Just like the little snippet thing that they give you on YouTube.
It's the kind of movie that, like, as soon as it's over, you're like, oh, fuck. Okay, I gotta watch this again. I gotta go back and, like, now that I kind of understand everything... And it makes you want to rewatch it, and I think that's a really, like, I think that's telling of a really good movie. Is like when it all kind of comes together at the end, and you're like, oh, I would like to rewatch this now from a different perspective, being the perspective of like knowing what I know now.
Yeah, because you got the main plot, but now there's all these other little plots that kind of go off to the side. You lose to keep the main plot.
Yep.
Which is a definite tendon of a good movie, honestly. Like, my favorite kind of movies are the ones where like you're just about where you think you got the grasp of the entire thing, but there's still so much behind the scenes shit that you just overlook. This main path to think that you're on the storyline. I feel like The Matrix did that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well,
you watch it each time, and there's little other things.
There's something that you pick up. Like, absolutely. Yeah, I think that's just good movie making, good writing and stuff.
Agreed.
Like, there can be good movies that don't have like a lot of like rewatch value necessarily. Like if it's just like a fun action movie or something where it's not much of like a mental grasp of a movie, you know. It's just like, you know, it's like Vin Diesel blowing shit up. It's just like it's a cool movie, right? But at the end of the movie, you don't think like, oh my god, oh shit, I gotta watch this whole movie again. Like, no.
Thinking of the one that had like all the fucking action stars.
Oh, dude, there's it's not the Expendables, but
30 minutes of fucking blood. It might be.
I think I know what you're talking about. It's got like all the guys, like
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, all the old dudes. Yep. They're all
blowing shit up for an hour and 30 minutes.
Right.
Just an hour and 30 minutes of straight 80s action movie.
Just blatantly in your face. Yeah, exactly.
There's no other storyline than there's the enemy. We go for the enemy.
Yep.
We kill the enemy. And
we almost don't win, and then we win. Yep.
Good always over triumphs evil.
Hoorah.
It's a fucking hoorah movie. That's a good word to just sum it up. It's just a hoorah.
Well, I love like subversive plots and stuff that make you think they're going one way and then totally like flip it on you, you know?
Sixth Sense did that shit. Like,
yeah, famously. That's like the classic Shyamalan twist.
It's just twist. The one Shyamalan movie I did not like was The Village.
Didn't like The Village? That seems to be a pretty divisive movie.
Yeah, I just, like, I really wanted there to be some fucking demon.
Oh, yeah.
It was just so real.
It was almost, like, anticlimactic.
Yeah, it was so real. It's like, oh, this is actually happening somewhere. It's too real for it to be, like, I'm like, there's some Amish community somewhere that this is happening.
Yeah.
Like, they have no fucking clue. The kids
Oh,
are
I
just
bet.
some village thinking that there's fucking wolves beyond that point and it's a freeway.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they could get away, but no one's letting them go. that shit's just too real, I feel like. Like, you hit the fucking, like, you've seen this story happen somewhere that you lived, and you're like, I'm gonna write a fucking horror movie about it, and instead of it being cars and shit on the other side that are the devil's work, it's just gonna be like, there's a werewolf out there. You gotta be careful, and then people scare these kids in clothes. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, if I remember right, and forgive me for spoiling a fucking, 20-year-old movie or something like that. Like,
The shit out of it.
sorry, not sorry. If you haven't seen The
If you
Village,
haven't seen it, fuck you.
if
Go
you don't
watch
chew
it.
Big Red, fuck you. But if I remember right, she's like escaping and she's like running away or something, and then she ends up finding a road in the forest. Like, she's in the forest and she finds a road, and then like a ranger picks her up and takes her back to the ranger station, and like things start, coming together from there. But
Yeah, she finds out basically that they have been lying to him this entire time, and that there's this whole other civilization and world around them that they didn't know about, and that they thought that they were like hidden back in the 1800s or something. And she's like, "Oh, we're in fucking 2000 or some shit." And the fucking world just flips on her, and that was pretty much the end of the movie. It like cuts off there.
yeah.
And then there's no like sum up of like all those people getting arrested or
Yeah, I can see. I see what you mean about maybe being kind of anticlimactic, because I guess like it's almost just like you want to know, well, what happened because this was revealed.
Yeah,
like you saw it be revealed, and then you're kind of left to like,
just here you go, figure it out in your own mind.
which in theory, like that's a really big reveal. That's a huge, like, game changing, like, reveal.
Yeah,
But it's almost like it would make it that much better if you got to see the effects of that reveal.
fact. Like, on the public, because of its being, like, as a movie, it being, like, one of the only movies that does that, like, really just kind of really cliffhangs your ass without the idea of a sequel. Like, there's nothing coming.
Yeah.
We're not letting you think that there's any secondary coming. There's nothing coming. This is the end of it. And I think people were just like, that's not the norm. And so it affects people's psyche and the fact that they expect a certain outcome and then they don't get it. And we've so trained in movies to get like the good guy wins outcome, and it really kind of kills that. It's not even like the horror movie, like the bad guy kills everybody and wins. It's like there is no sum up.
There's
Like,
just
no
nothing
one
at the end.
Gets killed at the end, like nothing happens. No one finds out anything about the demons. The other kids don't learn anything. It's one chick. Like,
Doesn't she go back though?
I don't think so.
I might be thinking of a different movie or a different scene.
She might have. I think she ran away in the woods, and then she ends up coming back.
I feel like I can remember her running back to the village, but that was probably in a scene where she was being chased back there by whatever
That's what I
whatever
think,
they were
because
telling
she
her was
chased
out there.
Of the woods because she ran out in the woods one time.
Right, so she was
And then-
chased back to the
yeah,
village.
and
Okay,
then
that's
they,
probably what
set
I'm thinking
up
of.
the whole camp and shit, and then she ends up getting back out to like save everybody. She goes back out into the fucking woods and like demasks one of the fucking people and finds out that it's like the leader
Yeah.
of the fucking area, and it's like, oh fuck you, and then bolts off and then stumbles across this road, and that's pretty much the end of it. Like, from what I remember, it has been so many
It's just been a
years
long
since
time
I've
since
seen
I've
it.
seen that.
But I just remember going, there's a road, and that's it. Like, where's the fucking demons? I want to see some crazy CGI shit. Like, that I was expecting, because people hyped that shit up, because the book was so good. But the movie just did not do the justice. Like the people that are really into Harry Potter books hated the fucking movies.
Yeah, that's pretty
Because
common.
It just like there's so much more detail.
Yeah, I think that's like bound to happen though. Anytime a movie is based off of a book, like it's impossible to cram, hundreds of pages into an
insane.
hour and a half or 2 hours even.
Go listen to an audiobook and see how many hours it is for an audio. They're fucking 6 to 12 hours long for like a normal story. Like even just the Book of Enoch is 3.5 hours long to read,
Mm-hmm.
which is a sum of a couple of chapters. It's not even like a full fucking like novelty book. And I was listening to another one. It's like on space, like a space prison or something like that. It's an old Orwellian book. And it was 6 hours and fucking 37 minutes and 63 seconds. I'm like, what the fuck?
Dude, there is. So I'm I'm big into history. And there's this podcast, this guy called Dan Carlin. If you've listened to Joe Rogan, you know Dan Carlin.
Yeah.
You ever listen to Hardcore History?
Yeah.
That shit is insane, man. And like,
So good.
so
Shout outs to fucking Dan.
yeah, Hardcore History. Look that shit up. It is crazy. There's the one on World War One. I think it's called Blueprint for Armageddon, the series on World War One, and it's like, I think it's 6 parts, and they're all 4 to 5 hours long. So it's like almost 30 hours of Dan Carlin talking about World War One and telling stories and reading firsthand accounts, and it's incredible. But it's insane, like how much because I've listened to that series like probably 3 times total. So like almost 100 hours of just listening to him talk about World War One and stuff. And it's so like, I mean, it's got what we were talking about with the movies. It's got that replay value where it's almost like, because there's so much information and he talks about so much different stuff. When you listen to it again, you pick up things that you didn't really register last time.
Like,
And
blend out the parts that you already heard, and then you pick up
Yeah.
the part that you like. Oh, I don't remember this, and then you
Kinda
start
catches
listening
your ear.
intently, and then you're fucking really good to go. That shit. That's what I started listening, because I suck at reading. I can't, for some reason, like as I'm reading the thing, and I'd gotten good at it doing a speed reading course at one point, but I just don't keep up with it. But you would be able to, when I read a word, after the first like sentence of shit, by the time I get to the end of the sentence, I forgot what I read at the first part.
yeah.
So I have to reread it a bunch of times, and then that just gets to be annoying. But if I hear it audibly, I can remember it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why audiobooks are life for me. I listen to a lot of them. I fucking love audiobooks.
Dude, I remember being in class as a kid and being in, I think it was math class, and I was just drawing. I was just like scribbling kind of with my head down, scribbling stuff, and the teacher was like calling me out, trying to tell me to pay attention, and I was trying to explain, like, I listen really well when I'm just like, when I'm, or rather, I retain information when I'm just kind of listening to it, like, idly. And so instead of like sitting up there and staring, like if I'm able to kind of do something while I'm listening, like I soak up that information so much more. And so I would just like sit there and doodle in class and stuff, but I would retain the information. And it took her a long time and like many tests where I would like ace the test and be like,
right,
look, I'm following along here. This is just the way that I retain information, you know?
It's sad, because if you're one of those people in a lot of school, like our school, Everhigh, would not happen.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you do the way that they teach you to do it, or you fail. There is no fucking figuring it out. And I thought that was just stupid, because I came from homeschool, and they did. My grandma tried every possible way, whether it was counting blocks, whether it was anything it needed to do, fucking did. Hooked on phonics, rap maths, like, did everything that you could possibly do under the sun. I still didn't retain a lot of it because I fucking hated doing it. But the shit was at least a different ability of learning. Like, I never understood why you would leave somebody to one way.
Yeah. Well, it's the idea of having a public school system for the children. I mean, so if you break it down, the government has a sort of a responsibility, or at least they feel obligated to make sure that the majority of citizens in the country have a baseline education.
Yeah.
Because when those children grow up into adults and are out in society, it behooves the government to have more educated people that are, you know, like accustomed to working with people and being in groups, and like it makes it easier for you to fit into society somewhere, you know. But unfortunately, they have to like just kind of cast a wide net, and like here's a basic way of teaching, and here's some stuff that we think you should know, and here's this and that, and here's the methods of learning it. And like unfortunately there's a lot of kids that don't learn in those methods. But I think that the majority of kids, they just kind of they get through it, they get their diploma or whatever, they graduate. Because I mean obviously the majority of people, like for the most part, people like go all the way kindergarten through 12th grade, and then they go out into the world or whatever.
Yeah.
But I think that there's
smaller
there is a large like it might be like a 60-40 thing where like technically more people graduate than don't, but there's still a lot of people that don't. And I think that it's sort of a failure of the educational system.
Well, and I think
because like I think they're limited in the ways that they can really teach people. But I mean, I don't know how to fix that. But
I know in like say our grandparents' time, there was a certain like aptitude that you had to reach, right, in like all of the schooling in order to pass on to the next thing.
Right.
They lowered that in like our birth area, right, for like our parents, and then
they keep
around our
lowering
time,
it.
They lowered it again, yeah, and they're lowering it and lowering it. So like the bar standard is getting lowered, but in the quality,
it's getting lower because they need more people. They need green checks through the system in order to keep the funding.
yeah,
And the more
exactly.
people that can,
So
quote, successfully make it through, they
Are
keep
we
getting their
getting-
money.
Are we getting an educated system at that point? Like, is the government getting that behooved system of people? at
Probably
that time?
not. I mean,
And
definitely not in the most, like, effective way.
Yeah, so
But I think part of that, too, is having the amount of people that we have in this country. We have a shitload of people.
yeah, that's true. I mean, it's really small though comparatively to most other countries. Like, most other countries with even like I think Europe has how many millions of people? We have 300 some million.
I mean, Europe is, like, a shitload of countries put together, though.
I'm thinking
you
just
know?
like say Britain. I think Britain has more people than the U.S. does.
I don't know about that.
It's a good question.
Look it up. I'm going to guess, this is just completely out of the blue, but I'm guessing, because the U.S. has, what, 300 million people or so?
It's like 330 million or something.
I'm going to say Britain has 85. 85 million blokes.
85 million blokes. Alright. UK.
Population, I guess, 2020.
That they even have a versus the US. So
65 million?
yep. So 65,761,000.
88 was close-ish.
Shit. So no, they're like at what is it saying? That's total United Kingdom. Oh, so the UK isn't that's like the whole thing, huh? Or that's at least England, Scotland, Wales,
Yeah.
and North Ireland.
Yep.
Northern Ireland. So what's Britain?
I think Britain might be another word for the UK, for the United Kingdom, like it is Britain. I'm not sure, though.
The Brexit thing is like the Britain's separation of the United Kingdom.
Yeah, you know what? You might be right. But that actually, that already happened, so maybe that's why Britain's not shown on that list. Because I think that actually went through United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. So I think Britain is considered
The
the
UK.
UK, yeah.
Huh. But yeah, so they don't have nearly as many, but their size is a couple of islands.
Oh yeah, way smaller. So they might have a bigger population density. So they have like people, like more people in less space.
Yeah, in
Percentage wise,
area.
per capita, whatever.
I wonder what, but like you think of India, they have some billion people. I think they
India,
might beat China.
like the entire
billion.
China 1.34 billion, India 1.19 billion.
They didn't beat them. And then we have 311.1 million.
Wow.
So that's a whole lot of 100 million more. It's about 700 million plus more people. They also have a lot more poverty than we do. But we're starting to look like some of those places with our poverty, with a third of the population that they have.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think that's just
And we're a much younger country.
we're a baby country.
Yeah.
We're
These countries have been around for thousands of years. China has been. Did you know China's one of the only countries that has never been conquered?
yeah. China is one of the oldest countries in general.
Yeah, it's like it's the oldest civilization in history. Like they had dynasties that have lasted hundreds of years longer than America's been around. These motherfuckers played a long game.
Mm-hmm.
They've been
Well, and I mean,
plus 1,000 years.
I think
It's like,
that is I think a big factor probably in how sort of cohesive they are as a country,
yeah.
and how like a lot of they seem to, at least, I mean, I've never been there, I can't speak from experience, but just in seeing videos and kind of learning stuff, if you will, like it just seems like they're kind of all on the same page about stuff. And of course you're gonna have different opinions on things in a society. You're never gonna avoid that, but like I don't think that there's
on average,
almost
they
like,
have
because you know how
cohesive working, like from what I've heard from people that have gone to China, it's like everything works together. Like
right.
this guy finds a job from the waste of this guy, and vice versa. And so like as it trickles down, like everybody finds their part in society off of
And
the
it-
waste part of the next person's.
It almost seems like their society like works in like a ring where like everything's connected almost like laterally in importance and stuff, whereas here it feels like we're in a pyramid
top down.
style,
And I mean, those are just kind of the differences between socialism and capitalism.
right.
They're considered a socialist capitalist society.
Mhm.
Like they have a socialist government, but then they have capitalist markets, which is really just capitalism monopoly. Like, so they're just like, we control the government.
Government capitalism.
And then we'll allow you to play capitalism.
Well,
But
I don't know,
the thing
man.
is with a country that has 1.34 billion fucking people, can you do a capitalist society with 1.34 billion people and still keep people safe and like? Do
Well,
the
I
things
think
that
what you
China
would-
does?
I think you would see.
Do you think that it could work that? Yeah, but do you think it would work without collapsing? You know what I'm saying? Because like all republics that we've seen have collapsed. All other than China, and because they're very fluid, they're not a socialism country. They're a dictatorship by emperorism. Like whoever they vote in is basically that emperor, and then they're very fluid with their politics to a team the time. And like they'll adjust. Like they have capitalism there, but they're still socialist.
Mm-hmm.
They are very fluid with that kind of thing, right? To keep power in the hands of the people that they want. And I think that it takes that with that many people. I heard a good
Absolutely.
argument on that. It's like with that amount of people, like we have 311 million, and look at the problems that we're having with the way that our government runs and how many people we have, and like how hard, like it works great with this number of people, but it doesn't work so great with this number of people. And maybe there's a reason why some of these countries have these ways and they work better for those people, and some of those people in those areas believe that it works better just because of the population and the way that the system works and
Mm-hmm.
how people have to live together.
Well,
Because in China, they're on top of each other.
and I mean, in a weird way, like dictatorship in and of itself isn't like inherently a bad thing. I
Well,
don't
it's been
think.
the law of
because-
the land for fucking longer than
Yeah, I mean,
Most things.
for most time, that's kind of what
Yeah.
we've rocked in
Yeah,
as
we
humans
pick
is
the
dictatorship,
strongest fucking
emperorship.
person, whoever could kill the most people, and we go, that guy's the fucking one in
Hmm.
charge.
Well, and like, at a certain point, of course, they say absolute power corrupts absolutely. So if you ever get the power, if you ever become that emperor, that person with power to do anything, and nobody can stop you, they say at some point it's gonna take you down. But like, I think that one of the reasons we don't see change in society as fast as we could is like, I mean, imagine if we were in a dictatorship and the dictator, whoever it is, could say, okay, as of right now, corporations have to pay more than fucking, civilians. They could, objectively speaking, do something that the majority of people would be like, okay, hell yeah.
That everyone thinks presidents do with executive orders.
Right. And
They would have
so like that could be a
undeterminated power. No one could say anything about it. They just say this is what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
It's happening.
It's just a decree.
Now, done.
Yep.
And it fucking happens from then, or else your ass is getting sent to the gulag.
Yeah.
Like, you
Yep.
just need to play by our rules, or you don't fucking play.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it works.
Oh, it's worked for a long ass time, but
It doesn't.
then
do
the problem of course, like, is that you run into civil rights issues,
Yeah.
and human rights issues where
and
at
that's
the
thing is, like,
people start to think like, I don't want to, like, you can't
if you believe
rule
in
me,
personal freedom, then
that doesn't work. Yeah.
Then it doesn't work, and that's like the American idea.
Yeah, so like we could never just get an emperor or get
No.
a king. Like that shit would not ever work.
No.
And I don't think that we should.
I don't
No.
think so either. If you wanted those things, there are plenty of places you could go.
Right.
To get them. See, and that's the thing I find so funny about politics is like, you go anywhere. You could pick whatever government style you want.
Yeah, if you want to be a real citizen of the world.
There are so many places of socialism to go.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to be under a dictatorship, there are still kingships and places you could go and be under a dictatorship and have someone rule your life. They're everywhere you can go. Here's not one of them. So either you do the capitalist thing here until it collapses and falls, and the next thing takes its place, as it will.
As it will.
Like just how history proves. Wait that time, or go somewhere and see what it's like in the other things. See, that's the
I've
cool
thought-
thing. We
have
have
you-
the open taste of being able to go and test it out. I would love to go and see what it's like to live.
Have you ever
in someone else's shoes.
thought about moving to another country?
Oh, I've thought about it many times, and then I find out like, oh, I can get in trouble for saying things. Well, that's bad because I say a lot of things.
Yeah.
And I need to have that right, and you don't really have that anywhere else. Like you could say those things, but someone could kill you for them justly. Like that's just the way it is everywhere. Even Canada doesn't have freedom of speech. They don't have anything, no documentation that gives them that right. They can change what speech is allowed and not allowed. That was the whole fight with Jordan Peterson and the transgender discussion was forced speech, and that the Canadian government has the right to force your speech and either fine you or jail you for hate speech by misgendering somebody. And that was his big fight. Is like, I shouldn't go to jail if you look like a woman. I call you ma'am and you identify as a woman or a man, and now I can go to prison or be fined, lose my job for misgendering.
Does he live in Canada?
Not anymore. He lives in the U.S. now.
He shouldn't have to worry about it then.
Not now, and that's why he doesn't fight those things anymore.
Well, and that's
He
sort of
just
like,
does his book.
to your point, is like, if you're like a Canadian person and to you you're like,
At
well,
the time, he was a professor at the college. And
Yeah.
So it was a thing.
Didn't he get fired?
Yeah, and so it was a discussion that came up between him and students, and then that went viral. And then it became a bigger discussion that he had to go to the news and have these discussions. And then he ended up stepping away from that discussion because, like, in his opinion, he said, I stated my opinion. If you're a person-to-person conversation, you ask me to do it out of politeness, out of human decency, I may do that for you. But to put the pressure of jail or losing your job or anything for somebody accidentally mistaking you, that I don't believe in. And that was the end of it. And then he wrote like 12 rules to like helping young men become men and like understanding the world and stuff like that. And then he ended up having a benzo issue, and he was prescribed Xanax, and then noticed that he had an issue with the Xanax, and then he went to a clinic, and now he's back out, and his daughter does a bunch of stuff with health and all that. Good dude. He's very clean on how he thinks of things, and he's very smart. The one thing I don't agree with him is on religion. Like he uses religion to explain psychology really well. And for somebody that grew up in religious, like I understand what he's saying better.
Right.
But he is a Christian and is religious, and I don't
Is he?
understand those concepts. His mind's wider open than mine. I don't understand how you can think the two things simultaneously.
They seem like they would sort of cancel each other out in a little bit.
I feel like in my mind they do. Like you can't have.
Well, I think that's like
voodoo.
it's like the power of religion. Something that when it's trained and drilled into you from the time you're breathing air, and people are praying over you and this and that, and like you grow up in church going every day, multiple times a week. Like it's part of your brain at that point. Like it is literally part of the functionality of your brain from the time that you grow. Like if you're that like indoctrinated is really what it is indoctrination.
Agreed.
It's whether it's religion or any idea, whether it's
And honestly, I would say
something about aliens or UFOs or like whatever it is. I think that because it's introduced and sort of drilled in, and that repetition creates patterns in our brain, like it creates those synapses.
pathways.
And so I think that it's unavoidable that it's going to be part of your character as you grow up. And that's why I think you see some like really smart, educated scientists, philosophers that are still religious, because I think that deep down it's something that feels almost like comforting in a world that they know objectively is so uncertain and so like chaotic. It's something that at the root, and I'm just guessing that he was indoctrinated from a very young age in his religion.
I honestly don't know, and it's 100% plausible. I mean, it's a big thing in Canada. It's like Christianity's a pretty big religion over there.
And Catholicism too, I think, because they're
when I say Christianity, like it encompasses.
yeah.
Like, to most Christians, Catholicism's a separate thing.
Yeah.
But in Catholic churches, where I grew up, they claim themselves as Christians. It's
Right.
just a offset branch, and so are all of these things, like Southern Baptists and all. But they
Well,
believe
and
in Jesus,
as-
therefore they're Christian.
as Christians, we were like taught that Catholicism is, like incorrect,
Yep.
and like
See,
they're
that's
not
why
going to heaven.
I went to
We
Foursquare Christian with my cousins because they're Foursquare Christians, and so that's like Streamline Christian. And when they'd find out that I went to a Catholic church, like the people, oh my God, I must have been a devil worshiper. I'm like, what the fuck? We believe in the same shit. You're saying the same shit. The only difference is they have like the King James Bible,
Well,
which is like 5 books that are ixnayed out of the Bible, and then some of the like laws about divorce and all that. Like the Catholicism's supposed to be way more strict on that shit, almost like the fucking guys whipping their back and shit for praising. And I've seen so many people talk in tongues.
yeah, I've seen that
So
shit too.
crazy.
It's weird.
So fucked up. That's where
I
got
think that
the-
the main difference though between like Catholicism and Christianity is the Jesus like rose from the dead and forgave the sins
Yeah.
thing, because I think that I think if I'm
It's the like they look at it as a symbolism. It's like the body and blood of Christ thing. The Catholics do it every Sunday.
yeah
They do the wine and the bread
communion,
every single Sunday. Christians do it once a month, I think.
yeah, if that.
Something like that. Yeah. they
It just
do
depends on the
that's
denomination of
special,
church they go to, I think.
It's like specific days. We do it because we believe that it like they actually like angels come down, grab the Holy Grail, bring it up to heaven, and that they're feasting with us at this time. It's a whole fucking spiritual ritual thing.
Well, and they say in Christianity as well that like as soon as you eat that little, Nestle brand cracker,
Yeah.
it actually turns
It's
into
into the
Jesus's
human flesh.
body,
in you.
and then the Welch's grape juice turns into thousands of
That's
years
the great
old
thing about
Jesus
Catholics
blood.
that I found funny when I went to the Foursquare Christian is they got fucking cranberry juice and shit like that. We're drinking wine.
Yeah,
and our
yeah.
Shit. We got the good shit. We're fucking
Mhm.
tapping into the priest's shit. Like, and if you drank a good bottle of that, which I had, I was an altar boy, so I got in the back cabin so I could get access.
Oh
to
shit!
that holy water.
You mean an altar
shit.
bad boy?
Oh, dude, I was a bad altar boy. It was bad. I was also the youngest pastoral council member of my church. In
So you were like
history.
thriving in your church,
Oh yeah, I was, because that's all I was allowed to do. I was
Right.
homeschooled, and like church,
Dude,
and church people were all
same.
I was allowed to involve myself with.
So
and
we're-
I got into all the trouble.
Were you like one of the kids though that like you knew all the answers at youth group and like
Oh yeah.
yeah,
Oh yeah.
Yep.
When it came to like the passion of the Christ and like we had these whole talks about like the crucifixion and like the body and the passion of the body and like how his dying fucking for saving our sins. Like there was a whole month-long fucking spectacular on it. I also did confirmation class like as a Catholic to be confirmed Catholic. You do like baptism, then you have to do Eucharist, which is when you get the bread and the body for the first time, and that's like a special ceremony thing that you get your first Eucharist, and you got to do classes for that, and then you got to do classes for confirmation, and then they teach you all about like where the Bible came from and all these things, and then you go to your confirmation and actually get confirmed. I gotta turn my beeper off. Dude, fucking weed shop sending me. You've got deals. But did all of that, and I was like fucking one of the top kids in the class, always answering the questions.
Mhm.
I was just a church geek. And
Yep.
it was my way of getting away with the shit that I got away with. Like, I was a bad. Cause
You
all my
kind of have a
cousins-
longer leash though if you're
way longer. See, I learned that because all my cousins, like, they got away with shit just because their parents didn't give a fuck and they didn't go to church or anything.
Yeah.
So, like, I couldn't hang out and do the shit they were doing.
but you wanted
I could
to.
do that shit if I had a longer leash and no one was paying attention to what I was doing because I was always doing the right thing. And, like, I was fucking super spiritual. I was in peer-to-peer mentoring, which they call P2P. And, like, we were fucking 12 and 14-year-olds mentoring 12 and 14-year-olds.
Like-
the fuck are we doing?
Yeah.
Like, my best mentoring thing that I did was teach people that if you scream fuck at the top of your lungs, you will feel better. 100%. Guaranteed. And then I'd have them do it, and they'd feel great.
Oh my god.
It releases endorphins. Like, the word fuck is a great word. That's why it's used in so many ways. Like, it's a great word. And if you
Well,
just scream it at the top of
that's-
your lungs, it's great.
That's one thing that is sort of like interesting to me about like religion, certain religions that they don't like swearing. And I understand saying like, oh, like taking God's name in vain or saying like, oh, Jesus Christ. Like, I understand that from a religious perspective that saying that in vain could be offensive, you know, like
To them, it's a
offensive to
curse.
God.
It's just
Exactly.
like putting a spell on something.
So I completely get that, but saying like fuck and shit and like damn it, like what?
Those are
Why?
man-made
Why can't you?
words. They
What?
have
That doesn't
nothing
have to do with
God.
anything. Yeah.
It was a problem. Like, I got in trouble for doing that. Like, it was found out that I was having people scream fuck at the time. But, you know, I got caught losing, like, getting head in the backseat of the youth group leader's truck.
Hopefully the youth group leader wasn't involved.
No.
Okay.
No. They were driving. We were on our way to a camp, and this lady, I won't say her name, starts to beat up. Give me some top to top. And, you know, I did a lot of fucked up shit like that. Like, we put, like, icy hot on the urinals in the girls' bathrooms and shit.
Ooh.
All throughout the church. Just fucking see people scratching their junk. Like, why is my shit taking ketchup packets? Like on the urinals, we did this in every high school too. You
Yeah,
take a little
put 'em
ketchup
underneath
packet.
the seat.
Yeah, right
Yep.
at the end. If we had the split at the fucking, we put the seat down. So if you put them right on the end and then just set them on there, when the person sits down and they have their pants down,
Ketchup
they
blast.
shoot straight into their fucking drawers, right into the fucking spot. So then they got ketchup just smashed right where their junk's about to be. Piss a lot of people off.
Dude, speaking of weird things at church, I remember one time at youth group. So, first off, before I forget, have you seen that meme that's going around that's like two girls, and it's like when they see you carrying the most folding chairs at youth group or something, and it's like,
yeah.
dude, I was laughing so hard because like, I would 100% tried to grab as many of those fuckers as I could. Of course, dude, fucking Sarah was watching. What if she sees me? You know?
Yeah, the Sarah too.
Like, I bet, dude, they're probably talking in the other room about how many chairs we were carrying and stuff. Like
how much my
you
fingers
better
are all
make sure
cramped
you
up.
have the most chairs.
Dude, your fingers better be all crushed with chair shit because you like folded your arm into the 4 chairs to try to grab more chairs and wiggle your way over to drop them. You're like, I got all these chairs. I can't get my arms out of them though.
They all fall over and crash down when you try to put them down. Oh, yeah. Good times. One time, though, at youth group, we would, like, play... I think it was after, like, everyone would kind of chill for a while, and then you'd come in and there'd be, like, a 15-minute long, like, message or sermon or something. And then I think we would watch, like, some music video, usually, like, some Christian rock or something that was, like, quote, cool. And then...
Cool. Super
and then we would play some sort of game, like some sort of, like, PE-style game. And... one of the times it was like this competition and they had a whole Big Mac. Like, oh no, it was a Happy Meal. It was a Happy Meal. The entire thing, toy included, was blended up into a cup and you had to drink it. And then you had to eat like a McFlurry or something, and then you had to drink a cup of Coke. And so I was like, hell yeah, I want to do this. I can eat stuff really fast. So I get up there and it's me against like 3 or 4 other people. And they're all the stuff's lined up, and I'm going through, and I pound down the Big Mac meal or the McFlurry. Fuck, what am I talking about? The Happy Meal. Pound that thing down. I pound down the McFlurry, and then I start chugging the Coke, and it was a cup of soy sauce. They had done the old fake out, and so I took like 2 hard gulps of soy sauce. And then when I realized how salty it was, like I instantly, my gag reflex kicked in, and I just like puked upward. And then I had to run to the bathroom, and I was puking everywhere. And I was so mad. But when I ran to the bathroom, I came back out, and because at that point I realized like, okay, it was soy sauce, but I still gotta finish. I come back out, and like I end up finishing like neck and neck with the next person, and then they gave her the win, and I was like, God damn it!
You realize
God
that
dang
I was
it.
so far ahead that I ran in after spewing in front of
Yeah.
everybody, threw up all this shit, came back out, and still was neck and neck with this bitch.
Yeah.
It's because she doesn't have a dick. That's why. That's how they do it. That's how they do it at church. I lost so many things to fucking females just because it's like, well, let the girls have it.
Well, so
Just some fucking
they
how to be
didn't
better.
they didn't necessarily do that at our church. I mean, they did to a degree, and it's like it's very like sexist if you think about it.
Oh,
Like
it's so
thinking that the
sexist.
girls need any
help.
sort of help. Like no,
They have to
like
have
what are
a
you talking
handicap.
about? But what they would do is they would let the new people win. The people that don't they don't like normally come to
because they
church.
wanna
I was there like
bring
3
more.
days a week. They're like, get the fuck out of here. You got all
We wanna
what
bring
are you
the
doing?
guy-
Right. So they're trying to hook these people, and so yeah, they would get the.
That makes sense.
They would-
Like, you gotta get followers because them cockers are fucking. We need that 10% tithe.
Yeah,
damn it.
of course.
We don't have our 10%. Like, it ain't happening correctly, and that's one of my like. That's probably the one thing I didn't do that I thought about a lot was like the money. Like, I was one of the bag collectors. I could have fucking just stuffed my pockets.
Yeah.
If it wasn't other people's money, and like I almost convinced myself, I was like, well, if they're giving it to the church, so like they don't fucking know I'm a poor person. Like they plan on giving it to the poor. It's kind of the same thing. If I would have listened to my buddy, I would have. I have somewhat of a conscience. I wasn't gonna steal fucking money from church. I'll bang in a church, not a problem. It's a building.
Hey, as long as you don't touch God's cut there, you're probably safe. You still get in.
Yeah. Losing my virginity was the craziest time. Like, I was in a church. I had
Classic.
crying Marys
Sounds like a American Pie movie.
Oh, dude, it was. And my buddy showed up, like, right after. Comes down the stairs to, like, where the youth room is, and we're off in this other room, and I'm walking to go dispose of the condom.
Mm-hmm.
And I bump into him. He's like, I brought you guys Wendy's. I was like, fuck, I get a sandwich afterwards. Like, dream come true.
Perfect time.
It was perfect. I was like, this is insane. I don't understand how this is happening right now. I've gotten lucky in a lot of ways in my life, and I've noticed that. And that's why I don't do bad shit anymore, because, like, I feel like you get bag of luck tokens, right?
You don't want to run out?
Yeah. And, like,
There you go.
I use so many of them, not realizing that there's a bag of luck tokens, just thinking that they're endless, and then realizing, oh, I only got a few of these tokens left. I'm gonna have to save these for very specific times. And I wish I would have saved some of that, because I had some fucking luck.
Dude, I've thought of, like, the times that John and I have been together on multiple occasions where we both thought we were going to die. And one of them, you ever been to Walker Valley? It's like a off-road park up north.
Sounds familiar. I don't know.
People go there with, like, their quads and dirt bikes and, like, big jacked up trucks.
Was like where we would go. We'd go over to Reader's Pit and shoot and drink and roadie out trucks.
Yeah, it's exactly the kind of place it is up there. It's just up, like, on a mountain, so there's all kinds of hills, and the higher up you get, the larger the rocks on the ground are. So by the time you get to the top, it's like boulder crawling. So it goes from, like, dirt road to gravel to, like, maybe, like, golf ball size rocks to, like, softball size rocks, and then it's, like, big rocks, and then so it's like basically you can go as far as your vehicle can get, essentially. I went up there first day I had a car in my life. First day I owned a car. Me and John went up there after school, and it was a 95 Mazda Protege, and we took it up as high as I could get it. And on the way back down, it's like all dirt and gravel roads and stuff, and so we're like e-braking down the mountain and shit like crazy. And John was hanging out the passenger window, like sitting with his butt up on the ledge and hanging onto the oh shit handle on the inside. And I'm coming up to this left-hand corner, and I e-brake it, and I'm going too fast, and I overshoot it. And, like, I have this feeling of, like, oh, my God, we're going to go over the edge. And John's sitting on the outside of the passenger window, and I'm about to dump us down this cliff and, like, completely crush his ass. Might even cut him in half, you know? Like, I just, it all flashed before my eyes, and I e-braked and just slammed on the gas and, like, barely drifted around this corner. Like, I mean, Ken Block couldn't have made this corner any scarier, dude. It was, like, insane.
That's insane.
And it was not like a good kind of insane. It was bad. Like, when we made that corner, he shot back down into the car, and it was just, like, silent, and we were, like, looking at each other like, oh my God, we're not dead. Holy shit. Okay, let's just get down this mountain. And then as we're driving down, keep in mind, it's the first day I owned this car, first day ever having a car of my own. And we're driving down the mountain, and the road kind of splits. It's like a gravel road, but it kind of splits to where you're supposed to either go right or go left, kind of stay. Like, it's still one road, but it just kind of dips like that. Okay. So, like, I didn't realize it, and I ended up bottoming out because I was going down the middle. And so my car, like, bottoms out, and I rip my oil pan off and drive the rest of the way. I mean, like, you can see the road from where I'm at and roll the rest of the way and realize, like, okay, something's big time wrong. Look out behind the car. There's a fat trail of oil. And so I had to shut down the car, and there's, like, no service up there. So it's like 4 p.m. Long story short, by the time the tow truck gets there, it's like 2 a.m. or something. And my dad was out there, and, like, we called the tow truck, and he went to the wrong side of this huge lake, and they sent him from, like, an hour and a half away. So we were in Mount Vernon, basically. They sent him from Darrington. And it's like, what? Yeah. What? So it took him like an hour and a half to get there, and then he ends up on the wrong side of the lake. But the thing is, we have no service, and he's trying to call us. We can't call him, and we have to walk to find service. It's a complete shit show. Yeah, my dad was not happy about having to be out there that long. It was bad. Bad times.
Yeah, with the tow truck, just in Marysville when I tell him that they're gonna send someone fucking like Puyallup. It's gonna be
What?
5 hours.
Did you look at where I said I am?
Yeah, hold up. There's no tow trucks in Everett or Marysville. I know that's not true because I have friends who are tow truck drivers. Do I have to call a friend? Like, I have AAA. What the fuck
I thought you were my friend.
Like, what the fuck is going on here? And then they ended up getting it there in 20 minutes.
Nice.
Yeah, there was a guy in Marysville.
Oh, what do you know?
Right down the way. I was like, yeah, I know exactly where that's at. Come swoop. And so it worked out, but like, fuck, dude. The way that they try to get you on like fucking hours and hours and hours. Like, hold it up. I'm in a pretty non-rural area. Like, I'm at the mouth of Marysville.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of traffic goes through here.
Like,
there's tow trucks.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Not up in the mountains. Scariest time in the mountains, though, for my cousin at least, was kind of did the same thing up in the Gallatin Hills. We went up the Gallatin Mountain to this Gallatin ghost town. It's up at the top of the mountain.
Is it Monte Cristo? Oh, never mind.
It's in
Montana.
And I got a little Nissan Altima, and I'm flying up this fucking gravel road, and hitting the e-brake, sliding around the hills and shit. And he's like, "Dude, there's a fucking 2,000-foot cliff, and we're on a 1-lane dirt road, no wall." And he's on the side looking down the hill, he's freaking out. I'm looking at the wall, so like the mountain, so I'm good. And then coming back down, I realized how fucked up.
Because you were on the cliff side?
On the cliff side, I'm like, what the
Oh
fuck?
my
He's
God.
like, going a whole lot slower this time, huh? I was like, what the fuck? I didn't realize we were this high up. He's like, yeah, you weren't looking down the cliff the whole time coming up here.
Dude, I was in the Philippines and rode on a bus in the jungle across some shit like that.
Jesus Christ.
Like, where it's like, if you look it up, like Philippines jungle province cliff bus, I don't know, you'll find it. It's buses on cliffs, and it's
I
insane.
think I've seen them.
You've probably seen pictures of it.
Looks